Okay, Mashima, let's play this game again. I got one chapter here. I got two chapters. Alright, let's see what's the betting on. And now we're going to see another possible fake out death. But let's be realistic. If we only focus on chapter 505, I would say this chapter was actually pretty good. The moment that sacrifice comes in, it actually did drag me along. Being made does really make it seem like it is a final moment rather than something that's going to happen and then it's just going to revert back to the usual self. I thought the timing and the way how it's executed was actually fairly done nicely. I just don't know if I could buy the idea that Makarov is truly dead. And granted, he is old. He has been dealing with a lot of teases of supposedly going to die multiple times. If I recall correctly, this is the fourth time. But this one actually went all the way, and this is the first time we actually see him pay that sacrifice rather than actually keep saying it but never really go all the way with it. So that being said, is this truly the end of him? This chapter was actually pretty straightforward. The main focus is obviously Makarov being the sacrifice for these kids in order to push forward, and everything else is just building up the tension, which is actually fairly nicely done with the whole berserker going out, taking on everybody, even Urza, out of all people. The fact that she's supposed to be the main ass pool character, maybe not easily, but still taken out and having a hard time. The fact is these soldiers actually become stronger than ever and actually put up a fight. It's like changing the difficulty in a Dynasty Warrior game. These minions actually going to hit you back. So the tension was just building up and building up. You get the sense that they are actually in a losing ground until Makoto decided to use fairy law, which is nice to see once again. Though it does beg the question, why not Mavis should do this attack? She is technically alive, right? So why not have her to do the fairy law? She's immortal, whatever. The point is Makarov is going to pay the sacrifice, and there's possible subtle hint that his life was already at the peak. So this is something that is like, you know, might as well go with a bang, and I'm just might as well take my own life because I'm about to die by normal heart attack or something. I think what makes this chapter works well is the dialogues coming from Makarov, especially the fact that he's the one that actually stops Mavis from doing anything else. He is tired of Mavis treating them like soldiers, which is actually a nice touch up because it does have that subtle hint of using them like pawns. Even though she's not intentionally doing so, you get the sense that she is really making out as like a soldier being more so than like a family. I respect Makarov for that because Mavis doesn't have to do everything by herself, and she is a technician, but a lot of people has their own ideal approach. Why not let them to do the work? Makarov come off strong. Not only that, but with his final farewell message to every fairy tale members in there, or rather just from Urza, is actually touching, and I actually really like the dialogues coming from him. It's simple but effective, and it works well with this kind of series. He managed to try to take out every soldier. His final words is actually a really nice way of his send-off, especially the fact that he always sees them as children growing up to be a well-grown masters for the future of fairy tale. The last couple of pages was really nicely addressed. There was no dialogue. You get that sense of somebody has just done a massive attack, a massive sacrifice to pay off for these fairy tale to live on and win this war. I feel like the art in this chapter was really nicely illustrated, especially with the final page with Makarov just standing. Pretty much give you that sense that he may die, but he left with a huge bang. And this is the way that shows you that even though he has sacrificed, he come off as a strong guy and a symbol for these fairy tale to win. It has a really nicely drawn panels. Each panel really means a lot with these reactions, especially how much effective that the sacrifice comes in. With all that said, as much as these moments are good, it all comes down to your experience. Do you believe he's dead? That is the question that's going to circle around for a while until he actually comes back alive or the arc ends with him permanently dead. And I don't need them to stay dead. I don't care if they do die in the way because of I need them to die. I do not like fake out death. death, especially when you use multiple times within one arc. I hope he does stay dead. For the sake of the way how he goes out, does seem like a way that's actually good enough to understand why he has to pay the sacrifice, and it's a good way for his characters to send off. Granted, he did not have an interaction with Laxus and other characters, but it still comes off as a heartwarming farewell, and I really think this should be the end of him. If they're going to revive him, it will be the first time of revival. We actually going to see every single aspect of different fake outs from this arc. You got Gajio disappearing and he comes back as just reappearing in the right place, and then you have Juvia supposedly dead, but instead it's just very near dead, just come back to life thanks to Wendy. Now with Makarov, it looks like he's permanently dead. Will the revival happen? Time will tell. Overall, looking at this chapter alone, I find it to be appealing because this sacrifice actually did come off really nicely, and I really like the last dialogues from Makarov. It all boils down to the experience, because if you let the experience hammer you in the idea that these characters cannot die, this may be hard to take it in. But if you just let it be as its own chapter, it's actually pretty nicely done. I guess I'm being generous with this. I still do think this chapter itself is actually pretty nicely done. So I'm going to say chapter 505 gets an 8. Will this chapter's grade would be different if Makarov does come out alive in the next chapter, 2 chapters, whenever? Well, I wouldn't say it would change the grade, because again, you had to look at the chapter alone. Grades is really just something that you feel like in your first read, second read, whatever. You could always go back to the series again, like after 5 years, and you may be thinking, it's not that bad. It's even better than I thought. You know, it's something like that kind of case. I'm curious if he is going to come back to life. I do think this might be the only death that's actually going to stay dead, but I can't really say that. I wanted to think that way, and you know, it is a bit cheap to have him dead out of all characters, because he is the old god. He is the guy that's full of life. If you want to think about killing off character that's still young, that would be a very shocking moment, but I wouldn't mind if he is the one to die only. I'd rather have that than just have an exclusive arc character to die. Like Brandish going to die here, it's like, well, that's because we're in this arc and we won't see her again, or any other character that is introduced in this arc alone. My thoughts are told. Don't let yours on hold. Leave a comment below. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this and want more of this, subscribe to my channel and my world will be yours to stay. Until next time, take care.